I need your views, likes, and your sub. Please. Hello and welcome to the Slingshot Channel. I always loved that gun. It was given to me by a gunsmith about 15 years ago who made it for a movie that never came out. So it's a movie prop really, but it's still a functional percussion type gun with a big 54 caliber. I never shot it, but I guess that it will spit fire and also make a really loud boom. Anyway, I always loved the Terminator movies. I was 20 when the first one came out, and I was fascinated, and actually I'm still hooked 32 years later. So when the guys from Plarium asked me if I was ready for a challenge and also a sponsored video, I said yes, of course. So for the record, this is a sponsored video promoting the game Terminator Genisys Future Wars from Plarium. The game is actually really cool. You can get it for Android and iPhones. What I really love about it is that you can actually choose if you want to be on the side of the resistance fighters or if you want to be a Terminator. And you know, I sometimes have those Terminator days where all I want to do is just go up and terminate everything around me in a game. And you can download the game down below. And if you do this via one of the links that are provided, you will get 150 coins, so you can buy decent equipment. I always loved the look of those skeletonized, shiny Terminators firing their insane guns. That's a movie after my heart, and the game is just the same. So this time, promoting the product is just not enough and won't get me paid. I also need to master the rules of the challenge. I'd like to go through them with you now. Well, it is about build a rubber-based version of the RPG-7 grenade launcher, as used by the resistance fighters. Wow, an RPG-7. That's a mighty weapon. Rubber-based? Okay, let's go into the individual rules. Must have the same size and basic functionality as the original. Okay, same size. Well, we have to look at the data. Must look like the original. Some changes are acceptable. Yeah, of course, there will need to be some changes. I have to attach the rubber somewhere. Must be able to launch a 2-kilogram rocket projectile, at least 10 meters far. Ignition distance of rocket motor. Okay, 2-kilogram rocket. I mean, I have shot objects that are almost as heavy, like the 2.2 pound, 1 kilogram device, throwing device from Cold Steel. But launching a 2-kilogram rocket from a short rubber-based launchers, that's going to be very tricky. Warhead must detonate on impact with a loud bang. No destruction is necessary. Oh, is that right? No destruction is just a bang. Okay. Must be muscle-powered, just with rubber as a propellant. So no compressed air and so on. That's a pity, because I could easily do this with compressed air. That would not be very hard, but with rubber. But I guess they just want the original, veritable Slingshot Channel style. And it must be completed latest August 15, 2017. Okay, that's not a long time to build a launcher like that. Well, let's first look at the RPG-7. The RPG-7 is a really, really awesome weapon. It was designed by Soviet Russia and actually came out 1961. I think they took the concept from the original German Panzerfaust, but enhanced a lot around it. A lot of people say RPG stands for Rocket-Propelled Grenade Launcher, but that is actually not true. The original name of the device is the Ruchnoi Protivatankovy Granatomet. Did I get that right? Probably not. If you're from Russia, let me know as in a comment. It is a handheld device, and it fires different size rockets. And yes, the 2-kilogram version is the lightest projectile they have for the device. There are also some that weigh 4.5 kilograms. And the way how this works is that actually the rocket is shot out just with a normal gunpowder charge at not very high speed, around 120 meters per second, so that's still within reach of rubber-powered weapons. And then what happens is that 10 meters into the flight, the rocket fuel engine ignites. And I think the distance is needed because otherwise the shooter would be burned to death. And then it really starts to go fast. It will then go probably 300 meters per second, and fly very far too. You could really call this the Swiss Army knife of guerrilla fighters all over the world if it comes to destruction. So I understand that they want me to actually replace the first stage of the shot. This means that gunpowder propelled part of the flight. So I need to be able to shoot it 10 meters so the rocket engine could theoretically ignite. Then of course there's one more rule that isn't in here, because I can't break German law, and German law is very, very restrictive on explosive devices. So for the loud bang and detonation on impact, I will have to be very creative, because I can't use gunpowder, I can't use blanks, nothing of that kind. So I think I have to go back to compressed air, not for the propulsion, because that will break the rules, but for the explosion. I am coming back to the big blast caps that Charlie Allen invented, and I think this is now sold to Umarex, and in the US, Umarex is already selling them. Actually, they are meant to be caps for target bottles. This means that I can now just use a bike pump, put this under a lot of pressure, and when I hit it with anything, an air gun, an arrow shooter, whatever, even a slingshot, it will go boom, really loud, depending on how much air you put inside. So what I need to build is I need to build something that is a little bit shaped like a projectile for an RPG-7, but actually punches a pressurized Coke bottle on impact. And I think I have to design that first, because the weapon has to be built around it. So I made this. It looks funny, I know, but it is some kind of shaped like an RPG missile. As you see, it's actually made from all steel, because I want to achieve the 2 kilogram weight limit. And it actually has a spare point tip, but the tip actually is connected to this lever, and as soon as it hits something, the lever will clap down. So the idea is that you open this here, just by removing this screw. Okay, then you can clap open the contraption, put the bottle in, close the thing again, and once it hits something, automatically, like that, the bottle will be pierced. So, we take our bottle, it's pressurized, and we open the gate. Then we put in the bottle, like that. And we close it again. And as you see, it's a very tight fit. The bottle can actually not move at all once in the contraption. Okay, and now it's rock solid, which is necessary because this will hit with some serious impact and it shouldn't break apart. This actually is a fearsome weapon in itself, because you can use it to stab, you can actually use it like a spear and throw it. I'll now try to ram it into my shed door, see if it detonates. Sure does. That was loud. See how the bottle is torn? Here is what I've done. I took some boards that are leftovers from the sauna that I built for my wife. Actually, it was a present for our 10th wedding anniversary. The inner part I sawed out to accommodate the big arrow, and then I also attached my non-patented but still pretty unique one-piece trigger sear mechanism, but this time of course prepared for a bullpup design. I made the handles and the trigger. Actually, it's all gonna look like just the original RPG-7, but of course the trigger needs to be longer, since there will be a lot of load on the trigger sear. Therefore the trigger pull will be quite hard, and it is far better to use a longer trigger for that purpose. And here it is! The rubber-propelled grenade launcher RPG-7 model. Let me show you its features. As you see, it has the exact same length as the original RPG-7. Also, the entire handle construction is absolutely identical, although the trigger, as I said, is much longer. So this trigger guard is really only there for the look. But this is the real trigger part. And you see it's a It's a bullpup. This means that in reality this is the trigger, but I'm using a little bit of a steel part to use this one instead. And of course it has this small fork, and there's a huge amount of rubber. This is actually 100 kilograms, 220 pounds of a draw weight. So this is a lot more than you can cock back with your hands, at least what I can cock back with my hands. Also because of the very steep angle, since the fork is very narrow. And you see that the entire length of the weapon is used for the acceleration. And I also had to attach a small shoulder pad here. The original RPG-7 is a recoilless device. Therefore, it is not a problem to simply put it on your shoulder, like with a tube. But this one does have recoil, and at 2 kilograms for a projectile, it has serious recoil. And therefore, I need a little bit of protection for my shoulder. And also, it needs to be held back a little back from my cheek, because the rubber bands will otherwise rip my ear off. And here you can see 2 holes that I used for the detachable winch, which I think actually, I'm very proud about that. I'm actually more proud about this winch construction than about the entire weapon, since this is pretty straightforward. This is my little winch, and it has all the features that a winch needs to have. It has, of course, 2 paracord strings with carabiners that hook into the string of the main weapon. And then you could just use any kind of screwdriver or whatever to use as a lever, and then you can turn it back, winding up the string and cocking back the rubber bands. And actually there is this lever here that actually blocks this little wheel, so that you cannot turn this the wrong direction. So this one is absolutely blocked, this direction is okay, and you hear it engaging. And if you want to release the tension, all you have to do is you use your thumb, press the lever down, and then you can release the tension again, like that. It's very easy. And it has these 2 steel rods poking out, and they have different lengths, so you cannot install it the wrong way. And actually these are fitting inside of the butt end of the weapon perfectly well, like that. And as you see, it's a very, very nice match for the weapon. It automatically holds onto itself once this comes under tension, so there's no need to mount it with screws. And when I'm finished, you simply unhook the carabiners and then remove the thing, and then you have a cocked RPG-7. Okay, the hooks are in, and now I can start turning. This works quite nicely. Of course, it's getting harder and harder towards the cocked position. This would now already be so hard that you have no chance to do this with your hands. Okay. Now it is fully cocked. As you see, the trigger has engaged. And now I can take the tension off my little winch here. Like that. Now the tension is on the trigger. And I give it some more play so I can remove the hooks. And then I can take off the winch. Since I decided to use a 20mm steel tube as a shaft for the rocket, fortunately I can also shoot all the projectiles that I made for my 300-pound crossbow. Remember the one with the 2 limbs? And this means that I can use my tri-edged dagger here. But I can also use this beefed up arrow. And of course I can even use my hole puncher. You know, the flesh sampler that has this hollow tip made from steel and has the fins inside of the device, so that it's stabilized by the vanes from the inside and not from the outside. And they all fit, and of course the weapon will shoot far faster with those than with the heavy projectile. So let's go and let some of those fly first. Okay, I've now loaded in the normal arrow, and I put the weapon on my shoulder. And this is the way how you hold it. And then I'm shooting towards my barn, as always. Whoa! That was way too high, and that had decent arrow speed. Next, let's test my flesh sampler arrow. Load it in. Take careful aim. And fire! Alright. Wow. Look at that hole. And the sampler sampled again. Let's see if we can get this out. Okay, there you have it. Perfectly nice tissue sample. Biopsies made easy. Now it is time for the first grenade shot. We want to master the part of the challenge where it says it needs to detonate on impact. So we're going to shoot at the car door, see what happens. I pumped this Coke bottle up to 160 psi, which is all my bike pump can do. And as you see, the waistline of the Coke bottle is totally gone. It's now like a straight shot. Imagine that, 160 psi in here. A car tire does whatever, 30 psi or something. So this actually contains a lot of air, and it is also, when you knock against it, you can hear it. It is tight as a drum. And here is the loaded weapon with projectile in place. Come on, with a little bit of fantasy, don't you think? It looks just like the original. And go! It detonated on impact, as promised. Okay, and as you see, it easily penetrated the car door. Nice hole. This is really a dangerous projectile, not just only because of the Coke bottle. Now that we have mastered all the main challenges, of course we all want to find out what happens when the bottle rocket hits something like a watermelon. Ideally, of course, it would ignite but only explode inside of the fruit, but that isn't very likely. Probably the pressure from the fruit is not going to be high enough to get this thing getting off anyway. I'm going to shoot like this because I don't want to risk not hitting the thing. And wow, it exploded. Let's look at the slow-mo. It worked just like I was hoping for. Completely destroyed the watermelon, and then it flew on, and actually you can see that it did pierce the wooden board here. Alright, we're lacking the distance shot. Now this is exactly 10 meters from here to my shed wall. I don't really want to shoot this dangerous thing out into the open, but against the shed wall it won't be a problem because that thing has suffered enough already. Okay, and it worked. I mastered the challenge. So, the RPG-7 rubber-propelled grenade. I think I mastered the challenge. What do you think? Have I fulfilled all the criteria? I believe so. And actually, it's a fun thing to play around with, and especially with the lighter arrows, that is also a very effective crossbow. And cool looking. I hope you liked it, because that's it for today. I'll be back. Thanks and bye-bye.